Do you want to know how to set up Angular in Visual Code for your next web application project? It's time to drill down all the setup process and its importance while doing it. In this video, we will cover the setup process, its importance and how it will be helpful for the developers. Now, let's start with the setup of Angular in Visual Code. Google's Angular is a well-known web development platform. Angular IntelliSense and code navigation are built into the Visual Studio Code editor. The Node.js runtime and npm, the Node.js package manager are required to install and utilize the command line interface, as well as to execute the Angular application server. To install the Angular CLI, type the following in a terminal or command prompt. Installing this may take a few minutes. You may now create a new Angular application. The name of your applications folder is. The creation of the Angular application in TypeScript and the installation of its dependencies may take a few minutes. Let's run our Angular app quickly by browsing to the new folder and executing ing-serve to start the web server and open the app in a browser. In your browser, you should see, My app is running, at the local host. While we examine the application in VS Code, we'll leave the web server running. To use VS Code to access your Angular application, create a new terminal or command prompt and navigate to the My App folder. Then type code. Let's see the syntax highlighting and bracket matching. Now choose the app.component.ts file from the src app folder. You'll see that Visual Code has syntax showcasing the different source code parts and that if you place your cursor on a parenthesis, the matching bracket is chosen as well. Now, trigger the IntelliSense. When you move your mouse over text in the file, versus code displays information about important elements in your source code. Variables, classes, and Angular decorators are just a few instances of where you'll find this information. Now, go to Definition, Peak Definition. Versus code may additionally give type definition information in the editor via the TypeScript language service via Go to Definition by pressing F12 button or Peak Definition by pressing Alt plus F12. Place the mouse over app component in the Bootstrap property declaration in the app.module.ts file. Right-click, and select Peak Definition. The app component definition from this app.component.ts will be displayed in a peak window. Example. Hello World will be displayed. Let's change the name of the sample app to Hello World. Change the title string in app component to Hello World in the app.component.ts file. The running instance of the server will refresh the web page with Hello World app is running when you save the app.component.ts file. Tip: Visual Code has autosave, which saves your files after a wait by default. To switch on autosave, go to the File menu and select it, or manually set up the files. User settings are saved automatically. Now, you need to do debugging Angular. We'll utilize the built-in JavaScript debugger to debug the client-side Angular code. Replace the launch type with PWA Chrome if you wish to debug with Chrome. A debugger is also available for the Firefox browser. After that, set a breakpoint. In app.component.ts, click on the gutter to the left of the line numbers to set a breakpoint. This will create a breakpoint, which will appear as a red circle on the screen. Now for configuring the debugger, we'll need to set up the debugger first. To create a launch JSON debugger configuration file, navigate to the Run view by pressing Ctrl plus Shift plus D button and click the Gear button or the Create a Launch JSON link. For example, we'll need to alter the port of the URL from 8080 to 4200. To start the debugger and open a new browser instance, press F5 or the green arrow. We won't reach the breakpoint until we refresh the web page since the source code where the breakpoint is put runs on startup before the debugger was attached. If you refresh the website, you should be able to see your breakpoint. You may investigate variables like app component and see the call stack of the client-side Angular application by stepping through your source code by pressing F10. Now, we need to see why it is important to set up Visual Code. Visual Studio Code is a source code editor with a lot of features. It looks a lot like Atom or Sublime. It is more flexible, though, because many plugins are accessible via the graphical user interface. It supports a variety of programming languages and a set of features that may or may not be accessible for each language. Many of the functionality in Visual Studio Code is not accessible via menus or the user interface. Instead, Users can use the command palette or JSON file to get to them. Now, let's check how it is helpful for developers. Many developers now choose Angular with Visual Studio Code. Microsoft's Visual Studio Code is a source code editor for Windows, Linux, and Mac OS. Debugging, embedded Git control, syntax highlighting, intelligent code completion, snippets, and code refactoring are all supported. Users can alter the editor's theme, keyboard shortcuts, and preferences, among other things. Visual Studio Code is built on Electron, a platform for deploying Node.js desktop apps that use the Blink layout engine. If you are looking for a customized solution in Angular, you can reach out to W3villa Technologies. W3villa Technologies is a leading Angular development company, combines agile concepts, and innovative methodology, and our considerable experience to create single-page applications that incorporate MVVM and MVC. Our Angular web development experts comprehend your company and development requirements to implement the appropriate solutions. To learn more about Visual Code and Angular development, subscribe to our YouTube channel for more related videos.